Hey, welcome back to the Western Cultural Center's Tune-In video lesson series. This is the third video guitar lesson in this series, so thanks for coming back. Thanks for practicing your warm-ups this week and getting your hands all strong. Let's start out with the spider to warm up our hands right away. We're always going to start up with a warm-up because that's important. Today we're going to introduce something new. That is going to be a metronome, or in my case, a super metronome, which kind of like it'll play like a beat for you. So I really encourage you to find a metronome or something. Metronomes are a little bit different, all of them, but find something so that you can keep the time. So we're gonna practice the spider. So that's the sound of a metronome. It's kind of just a click, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like that. Or I kind of like my metronome because I can turn it into a beat. I'm just going to change it to a drum set, and all of a sudden we've got a drum beat. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to try our spider here at 50 beats per minute. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll come down. 2, 3, 4. There we go. And if you can balance on your stool and reach back and turn off your metronome, then that's a good trick too. So that's 50 beats per minute. If you've been doing your spider every day for a couple weeks now, maybe you're getting some calluses. Maybe you're starting to notice that the tips of your fingers on your fretting hand are getting kind of shiny, and that you don't mind touching the guitar so much. That's fun. So we're gonna add something else to the spider. The spider goes on forever. I still practice it, and all my students, it doesn't matter how long that I've been teaching them, we always do a little variation of the spider, because there's always a way to kind of make it fancier or get better at it. So what we're going to add today is called Alternet Picking. So hopefully you've been using a pick to play your spider. You've probably been picking like down, 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 down. But we're gonna pick down, up for every note. So that means that we're playing every note twice. So this is called doubles. So singles, right? One note at a time, every note gets played once. But we're gonna do doubles. So every note gets played twice, and still the same idea. When you reach your fourth finger, your pinky, then you go up to the next string, start again. So there's a bit of a rhythmic difference here, whereas if we're playing the note once, then that's one note per beat. We're getting to some rhythm now. So, but now that we're playing the note twice, we're kind of playing two notes per beat. And if you're lucky enough to have a metronome that's got like sort of like a drummer playing a beat, you can kind of hear the hi-hat in there. The hi-hat's the one that's going. So those are eighth notes. So before we were counting to 4, dividing into 4s, quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. But now we're gonna add a note in between with our upstroke too. So it's gonna sound like this. 1 and 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. We're gonna come down 4 and 1. So even if I'm not counting, then you can still count in your head. You always want to be keeping track of where the beat is. So I chose 50 beats per minute. I think 50 beats is a good tempo because when you're on one string, it's gonna like sort of test your ability to not rush. But then when you have to switch strings, it's gonna like, you're gonna be in a bit of a hurry, right? Because that's sort of like the toughest part of this exercise right now is going from one string to the next. So I don't know, I'm gonna imagine, you're not here, but I'm gonna imagine how you're feeling right now. And I imagine that you're feeling like that's kind of slow. And then to go, I gotta get to that one, and that's kind of fast. And that's how you should be feeling. Right? That's we wanna not rush, but we also wanna get to the next bar in time. So that is an intro to using a metronome and alternate picking. If you don't like 50 beats per minute, then try 45. Right? So dialing in the right tempo to practice something at is really important, right? Because when you're practicing it to tempo, then you're actually really playing the music then. If you're kind of just practicing it at your own tempo, you're gonna find that when you want to play it with someone, it gets much more difficult. So we're getting you into sort of like imagining the space between the music really early here. And it's a tricky thing, so don't get discouraged. Just remember that we're incorporating it into this spider exercise where the notes aren't too hard to remember, right? All you have to do is remember one finger after the other, one string after the other. That's not too hard to remember. So then we can use all that brain power to think about our right hand being accurate, playing the right string, using alternate picking, and also staying with the beat. Again, right, this isn't a song that we're gonna show to anyone yet because it's one note after the other. I'm gonna show you another exercise right now that includes the alternate picking technique, but this one sounds pretty good. It's actually a riff from a really cool rock band called the Kings of Leon. This, I really want to give you something that's really fun to play that you can play over and over again. Because the more you play something over and over again, like the more it really gets into your fingers and your body and your mind, right? Playing something like once and being like, oh, I get the idea. You're gonna wake up tomorrow and realize that like you didn't get the idea like as much as you thought you did. So I want to give you something that's really fun to play that we can play over and over again. So the idea behind this riff is that we've got a note on the B string that's gonna kind of move around, but in between that note, like every other note, we're gonna get this 0, that open E string. Right, so me just playing that E string, that open E string, that's gonna be every other note. And then we're gonna start on 5 on the B string. What do you notice about those two notes? Do they sound the same? we're gonna check out that later. Why do those two notes sound the same? But they do. But they also, like, you can kind of tell they sound the same, but they're different. They're ringing together. That's one of the really cool things about guitar is like when you have different strings ringing out and other notes moving around. So we're gonna go on the B string, 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2. And I got the open E string in between each of those notes. So I'm gonna say, when I say 0, 0 means the E string, right? And when I say one of the numbers, that's gonna mean the B string, right? So we have 5, 0, 5, 0, 5, 0, 4, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 0. And try not to get the G string there like I did. I made a little boo-boo there. We'll try that one more time. 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2. Getting that open E string in between all of those. So do that 3 times in a row. It's once. It's twice. Three times. Okay, so the reason we did that is because we don't want to try and learn a riff or a song all at once, right? We don't want to like start with like 3 minutes of music and be like, oh, I'm starting at second 1 here, and all I have to do is I've just got 3 more minutes of music here to memorize. We kind of just learn stuff in like little bites, right? Little bites that we're going to be able to internalize right away and memorize right away, and then once those are internalized, then we're ready to like build on another bite onto that, right? So we have to like learn something and internalize it before we move on. No one's gonna be able to like just like learn 3 minutes of music like all in a row, right? We gotta just learn the first few bars of it, and then we'll learn a few more bars of it, and then before you know it, you're gonna know all the bars, right? But so that's like the first little bit of that riff. After we go to 2, 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2. Hopefully we've got the hang of that. We're gonna slide all the way up. This is kind of maybe the trickiest part of this riff is to go from 2 all the way up to 10. So 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2. 10, and then 9, 9, 9, 12, 7, 7, 10, 9. So now we're just going to practice the second part of that so we can sort of internalize that. So after the first part, we go from 2, 10, 9, 9, 9, 12, 7, 7, 10, 9. One more time. We'll do it 2 more times, so that's 3 total. The magic 3. 10, 9, 9, 9, 12, 10, 7, 7, 10, 9. 10, 9, 9, 9, 12, 7, 7, 10, 9. And that is the whole riff. Maybe you saw me playing that right at the beginning of this lesson. So if we put that all together, 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2, 10, 9, 9, 9, 12, 7, 7, 10, 9. 2 more times. 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2, 10, 9, 9, 9, 12, 7, 7, 10, 9. Last time. 5, 5, 5, 4, 2, 2, 2, 10, 9, 9, 9, 12, 7. And then if you're not tired of playing that yet, then you can keep going. You don't have to stop just because I stopped. I could play that all day. And hopefully you can too. I want to give you something you can just play all day. So the idea behind that riff is maybe choose one finger for the B string. That's nice, right? Before I was like, you can't just use one finger, but for this one, we are going to use just one finger. I like my middle finger or my ring finger works best. You can decide which works best for you. But the idea is also we're developing a relationship between our strings and our fingers again, right? So in order to like kind of slide up and down the B string like that, that's just going to take some feeling out, right, on your own. I'm not there with you, right? So you're just going to have to like develop a relationship. What makes me able to slide up nice and smooth? If I press too hard, then I kind of like, it's like bumpy, then I'm hitting all the frets on the way up. But if I press not too much, then I don't really get a note, right? So you're gonna have to sort of develop that relationship of like how hard can I push and how lightly can I slide and stuff like that. But if you have a really fun riff to play over and over again, then it's fun, right? Okay, what else did we learn last time that we want to make sure that we're remembering? We learned open power chords, right? So our first open power chord, when we're talking about open power chords, we're talking about one of the strings is open, right? So we need an open string. And also a good way to remember it is like the bottom string of a power chord is usually gonna be only either the E or the A string, sometimes the D string. Once we get up into the skinnier strings, like the G string and the B string and the E string, hopefully we're remembering the names of the strings. Those aren't good for a bottom note, right? Because like a power chord, we want it to have that nice low, chunky kind of rock AC/DC sound. And if you're using the small strings, it sounds kind of like too twangy. So we don't really use the skinny strings for power chords. But we can use any of the thicker strings, the E string or the A string or the D string, right? So we've got an open A power chord with the open A string. And then our top note is going to be 2 on the D string. Right? What's that good for? That was good for Highway to Hell, right? See if you can make a good Highway to Hell with that chord. And then what other open strings do we have? We have an open D string power chord. So that's the open D string, and then 2 on the G string. And what can we do with that? We can kind of play that like Beatles riff, right? Come together. Or maybe that's just a blues riff. Maybe the Beatles just like ripped off like a blues riff and put it in their song, right? Maybe that's what happened. But and then we've got the open E string here, and then to make a power chord, 2 on the A string. And then we can make a blues riff with all 3 of those. So let's cue the drummer here. Oh, that's slow. That's some slow blues right there. But that's okay. We'll try this, and if it just is too awkward, then we're going to adjust the speed, right? But for our little blues riff, we're going to go start on A, 0 on A, 2 on D. So 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2, 2, 4, 4, 2. So what am I doing? That top part where I'm going 2, 2, 4, 4, right? That's matching up with the hi-hat, which is playing 8th notes, which is playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you see, like, numbers have a big part in music, right? So I'm talking about numbers like what frets I'm pressing on the guitar, but I'm also talking about counting numbers with the beat. So make sure we understand the difference. So the frets we're playing are 2, 2, 4, 4, right? And then the beat we're counting is 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then we can start counting our 12-bar blues formula, right? So I'm gonna speed it up because if we do 12-bar blues at this speed, that's gonna be pretty slow and take a long time. So that's 60. That's gonna be a little better. So I'm gonna count us in and we're gonna go through the whole 12-bar blues formula. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So after 4, we change up to the D string. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 2 and 2. After 2 bars, we go back to A. 1, 2 and 2 and 3. Now down to E. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 2 and 2. And then back to A. 1, 2, 2. And then we'd start again on A. 1. So that's one thing that tends to trip some people up, is if you end on the same chord as you begin on, right? Then we get lost, right? Well, we ended on A and now we're starting on A, so now I don't know where I am. But if you just remember that you're starting on the same chord that you end on, then you'll remember where you are. So for 12-bar blues, 4 bars on the first chord, 2 bars on the second chord, then back to 2 bars on the first chord, and then 2 bars on the third chord, and then 2 bars back on the first chord. 12 bars altogether. All right, so that covers what we've learned so far, but we've got to play it lots together, and you're probably sounding a lot better at it, and hopefully having more fun with it. Let's hit the last thing we were working on last week, which was Fast Car by Tracy Chapman. Remember, we were working on this guy? But we were just working on in fact, no, we hadn't even made it to the G chord yet. We were just working on this. That's right. So we've got our C chord, and then we had our claw here, our thumb and index finger and middle finger claw. And our thumb is coming over the top of the A string here. And then my index finger is coming under the bottom of the G string there. And my middle finger is coming under the bottom of the B string there. And then, if you kind of pluck them all at once, you should get all 3 notes nice and clean. But it's tricky though, right? We're developing a relationship between our fingers and the strings. Just figuring out how much friction we need, right? How much friction we need to get a nice note, right? Maybe that's probably too much. That's not too much. So just developing that relationship there. Just a nice, think about squeezing a little tennis ball. And then the other really tricky part of this is we've got my ring finger is on 3 on the A string there. And then I'm leaving the B string open so that after I pluck all 3 strings, I can hammer on the B string and then take it off to get that nice little lick at the beginning there. So, and that's tricky too, right? How hard do I have to push the string to get that hammer on note, right? If I don't push it hard enough, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna mute it, right? I'm just gonna muffle it. So hopefully you're making some headway there. And then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna switch to a new chord that we haven't looked at yet, which is a G chord. So you're gonna put your middle finger, right? So this is where we left off, right? You kind of like hammered on and took it off. So that's where we left off. And then we're gonna put our middle finger on 3 on the E string here. So our bottom note is switching from the A string to the E string. And therefore our thumb is gonna be, you're gonna find this a lot with picking, right? Your thumb's kind of in charge of like the bottom string. Your thumb's gonna be in charge of the bass note. So our thumb is now switching from the A string to the G string to get this note on 3 there. And then I'm gonna use my ring finger to get 3 on the B string. Right, and because I'm only plucking these 3 strings, I'm plucking the low E string now and the G string and the B string. That's kind of, that's all the fingers I need to put down for this hand. So if we're just playing this song, Fast Car, then we're gonna need to do that switch. And like switching chords in time is tricky, but we just need to practice it a whole bunch. So don't be discouraged if it takes you a long time to get from there to there. That is totally normal. But we're just gonna have to practice that all week now. And there'll be diagrams that will show you also where to put your fingers here. The other thing is, just like with C, right? Before I showed you with C, normally a C has that middle finger in there, right? On the D string. But because with this song, we're only like plucking certain strings, I don't actually need to put my finger on the D string because that's not one of the strings that I'm plucking. And it's the same with this G chord, right? If I was playing a whole G chord, I would also want to put my pinky down on 3 on the high E string, and I'd put my index finger here on 2 on the A string. Right, so if I was playing all 6 strings, then I would have to put all those fingers down there. But because we're just playing these 3 strings with my claw here, then I don't need to put all those fingers down. I can just put these down, and that makes it easier to switch. So, 2 things this week. Can you practice switching from C, making sure the bass note is here on the A string, right? Remember from last time, we don't want that low E string in our C chord. We want to start strumming on the A string. And then so switching from C to G, middle finger on 3 on the low E string, my index finger on 2 on the A string, leaving the D string and the G string open, and then my middle finger on the 3 on the B string, and my pinky on 3 on the G string. So that's a full G chord. A lot of people argue about G chords. You can play a G with nothing on the B string too. That's also a G chord. But for the song Fast Car, we need that note on 3 on the B string, which is why I'm showing you this G chord with 3 on the B string. So don't freak out. There's lots of ways to make chords, right? And you're gonna meet someone and you'll be like, oh, I know how to make a chord. And they're like, oh, well, I know how to make that chord too, but my way's different. That's fine. Chords are just like different combinations of notes, and you can combine notes in like lots of different ways. So don't worry if I'm teaching you how to make a chord and like someone out there has a different way of making that chord. Everyone's probably right. So there you go, C to G, and fast car, fancy lick to slightly easier G. And that is going to be how far we're going to take fast car this week. If you have any questions about anything that you're learning here, then you can come to the West End Cultural Center on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our Tune-In Music Drop-In program, where we just have cool teachers who can show you the stuff in person. And anything that you're having trouble with on your own, there's teachers here to help you, and then we could even play some music together. That's the ultimate goal, is hopefully we'll all get to play music together one day, and I'm looking forward to that. So have a great week, enjoy your exercises, and enjoy your song.